Morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericashow.com. We're glad to have you here. Make sure you click that like button and subscribe to the channel that you're watching on this morning. If you enjoy the content, well, do it anyway, even if you hate the content. Just help us to spread the message of economic freedom and personal liberty. If I'm smiling, it's because I got so much sleep last night and I feel absolutely amazing. Not quite, really, actually. No, I'm smiling because one of my good friends, of course, a big friend of this show, is joining us live and in studio, the lovely Camellia Peterson. Let's give her a round of applause. Hey, CJ.
Good morning.
If you want to talk to the audience, you can just look right into the camera. Your camera is the Lumix. One says Lumix on it right there. There you go. And of course, we've got camera 2 right over there. So there's got us there. And of course, we have all of our delicious Founding Flavors coffee with us here today. It is very good. And you're trying one of our special new types of coffee.
And I can tell you it is good.
Yes, and I'm pretty sure that I have found the one that I'm going to give the moniker of my favorite founding father. But don't say it just yet, because it's going to be a surprise. It's going to be fun. So if you're not drinking Founding Flavors coffee, then you're probably feeling not quite so perky. So get yourself some patriotic perk, like Adam's patriotic perk. Or my favorite is Jeffersonian Java and the Benjamin Franklin's Electric Elixir. You can get those at ap4libertyshop.com. All right, let's get the show started. We've got an awesome show for you today. I don't think even CJ knows what's going to happen today.
I'm just here for the ride.
Just here for the ride. We have got, first up, we've got a bunch of clips from the GOP debate. Vivek Ramaswamy, I got to say, absolutely killed it. He showed the bobs and the vagine last night and gave us everything that we wanted from a Republican candidate. And I have to say, Vivek won. In my opinion, he won. Camellia,
I think so. I mean, he handled himself better than anyone else on stage. He had charisma. He took control of the stage, which is something that's really challenging to do. And everybody else just looked kind of lackluster.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we actually have a clip, some of the footage of Vivek last night, taking it to the other candidates. Take a look at this right here. You can see this is Vivek Ramaswamy to the other GOP candidates. Right there. There he is. Giving him one of that. That's Nikki Haley around there, right there. That's for Chris. Look at that. Oh, bam, right there. Take that, Mike Pence. Oh, God, there you go, Doug Burgum. That's how Doug Burgum got his ankle injury last night.
Oh, yeah. That was it. Gotcha.
We're glad to have Camellia in the studio, but we've also got some other great interviews coming up as well. We're going to speak to Brandon Herrera. Do you know who Brandon is?
Is he the gun guy?
Yeah, he's the AK-47 gun guy. All right, so he's running for Congress down in Texas. He's going to be joining us. Yeah, he's running for Congress in Texas, and I think he's one of the YAL endorsed candidates.
Yes, that's where I've heard him speak before.
Yeah, so Brandon Herrera will be joining us today. I'm super excited about that. The last time I spoke to Brandon was actually I was at his ranch in Texas. When I ran for president, I came through. He had no idea who I was, but he's like, I don't trust politicians, but I've heard this guy's good on guns. So he was like shocked that I would actually, because he didn't really know anything about me. He thought I would be just like a typical politician. He's like, most politicians don't want to have a picture of them with AK-47s. And I'm like, give me all the AK-47s. So Brandon's here with us today at 8 a.m. Central Time. You don't want to miss that interview. It's going to be great. And Camellia, if you have questions and stuff, of course, feel free to just the only reason sometimes why I continue to talk is because I'm just nervous that the other person won't talk. So if you have a question for Brandon, just go like this and let us know.
So like last night in the debate when they were raising their hands if they supported.
That was awkward. That was very awkward. You have to admit. So anyway, so we're going to have Brandon Herrera here at 8 a.m. And then we'll have a little bit of an interlude before we have Daniella on the show. So yes, Daniella will be with us. So we'll have Daniella at 8:30. Apparently a Christian charity got debanked. So kicked out of their bank, which is something that is becoming more common. We saw it started with Kanye West, and I always say that whatever they will do to Kanye West or Alex Jones, they're going to start doing to the rest of us soon.
And I think that, the real problem with this is government involvement in banks. The government is always the problem.
Yeah, no, I agree. But, we live in a world now where the banks and the government are so intertwined that it would be nearly impossible to remove them, which is why we should end the Fed. So we've got a great show for you today. It's going to be tons of clips. Let's start with the very first one at the top. Why I think Vivek Ramaswamy was the winner of the debate last night. Let's take a look at this clip where they were asked about ending aid to Ukraine. There's no audio there. Hold on one second. I can fix that. 2 seconds. Chrome audio.
I would have Europe step up.
There we go.
Do their job.
All right.
Mr. Ramaswamy.
Let me rewind that. Rewind that. Here we go.
The administration is now asking Congress for $24 billion more. Regardless of that, the specifics of that plan, is there anyone on stage who would not support the increase of more funding to Ukraine?
We would not support it. Europe needs to step up. I mean, I would have Europe step up and do their job.
Mr. Ramaswamy, but you're saying you would not too, Governor DeSantis?
I will have Europe pull their weight. Right now, they're not doing that.
You would not support
and I think
more
we need
funding?
to do, and I think our support should be contingent on them doing it. And I would have support in China to be able to take China and do what we need to do with China.
I think DeSantis is struggling there a little bit. You know, like
this is why
he's just
people,
not confident,
right? And this is why people were liking Vivek, is because it was just like unequivocally. He came right out and said, "I would not support it." And DeSantis really felt like he was equivocating,
yes,
and just kind of,
he was trying to kind of play on the whole Trump, like I'll build a wall and make Mexico pay for it, kind of a thing. Like I think he was nervous. I mean, again, he had the most to lose last night, and Vivek, he's got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So he's just going out there full hog, which is what you need. But let's let him finish.
Mr. Ramaswamy, you would not support an increase of funding to Ukraine?
I would not. And I think that this is disastrous, that we are protecting against an invasion across somebody else's border when we should use those same military resources to prevent across the invasion of our own southern border here in the United States of America. We are driving Russia further into China's hands. The Russia-China alliance is the single greatest threat we face. And I find it offensive that we have professional politicians on the stage that will make a pilgrimage to Kyiv, to their Pope, Zelensky, without doing the same thing for people in Maui or the south side of Chicago or Kensington. I think that we have to put
their Pope Zelensky. I mean, that was pretty good, I gotta say, honestly, right there. Yeah. So what, did Chris Christie go to Ukraine?
Yeah.
And okay, I didn't know that.
Did.
All right,
Yeah, just not too long ago.
That was a pretty good swipe by Ramaswamy there. I mean, he doesn't equivocate. He says exactly what he feels on that one. And what's amazing is that the near universal appeal there from the GOP audience, that's where the Republican Party is these days. And it's amazing that like Nikki Haley and Mike Pence, we're going to get into their just weirdness last night. They are so out of step. Like 15 years ago, Mike Pence and Nikki Haley would have been the Republican Party. Now it's like the Republican Party is not the same party on foreign policy. It's like in some ways Ron Paul won to some extent, right? The GOP is definitely more non-interventionist now.
Sure.
Than they were 15 years ago. And Donald Trump, of course, gets a lot of credit for that as well, which, he wasn't there last night, but of course he loomed large. Do you think that Ramaswamy is, and this is what everybody's saying, is that you think that Ramaswamy is a plant? A plant?
You're going to say, is he a pick-me?
They're all pick-me's. When you're running for office, you're all a pick-me, but
me for Trump.
Do you think he's yeah, well, maybe. Do you think, so in that sense, same thing, a plant. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, he's been asked that and he says no, but of course he's going to say no. But he's not ever, I'm trying to remember if I've heard him say anything critical of Trump. And you don't hear Trump say anything negative about him.
Right.
And so I just don't know. Somebody made the comment the other day that they don't understand why, everybody kind of like tiptoes around Trump, but no, I mean, he's like the only way is through Trump. Like, you just like, if you're going to do this, if you're going to run for president, like you can't, I mean, no holds barred with Trump.
I just don't think that's the way what's happening here. I honestly think that Vivek Ramaswamy is gunning for a cabinet position or some kind of some kind of appointed job in the Trump administration. And he knows that if he doesn't attack Donald Trump, if he's a stalking horse for DeSantis, then it puts him in good graces.
Well, and there are a lot of Trump supporters who like Vivek. And I just think that, you know, a lot of people have said to me is that they really like him. But and I think it's that he kind of lacks the political maturity.
Yeah.
He's kind of a loose cannon is a phrase I hear frequently with him.
Yeah, for sure. If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, good morning. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. We're glad to have you here. It is the day after the debate, and we are dissecting all of the clips that you may have missed last night. If you didn't get to watch it, we've got a lot of great coverage for you here. I'm joined in studio by Camellia Peterson, who's here with us live. First time in the studio. It's kind of nice, isn't it?
It is very nice.
Yeah, we're enjoying it so far. We appreciate the great Scott Fawn for donating it to us to help us to be able to spread the message of economic freedom and personal liberty. So we do want to give a big shout out and thanks and a round of applause, shall we, for Scott Fawn of the Missouri Times. Thank you, Scott. We're very grateful for that. We're coming up on our 1 year anniversary. It's like another 2 weeks, I think, and the 1 year anniversary of the show.
It's close. That's wild. In some ways, it feels like it's been forever, but in other ways, it's like yesterday.
I know. What's cool is that, you know, we've made it a year. When you go back on the timeline, you can see how much the show has evolved.
Oh my gosh,
and you can see how much more it's improved from the first episode. You were on the very first episode, and you know, I've gotten better graphics, better lighting, better commercials, better guests. Just keeps improving, and of course, the numbers continue to climb in the audience. And if you're watching us here and you're enjoying the content that you see, and you want to help us to continue to grow and spread the message and have great guests, then do us a favor, click that like button and subscribe to the channel that you're watching us on this morning. We appreciate that very much. And of course, we want you to definitely try our Founding Flavors coffee, which Camellia and I are enjoying this all across the table at ap4libertyshop.com, an exclusive premium coffee brand for coffee drinkers. Camellia is drinking it out of the Don't Tread on Me mug. That we do have a Don't Tread on Me mug as well at ap4libertyshop.com.
That actually.
Yes, actually, you can get one. Don't Tread on Me mug at ap4libertyshop.com. So a lot of people who drink their coffee drink it out of Keurigs. So they're like, hey, do you have any Keurigs? Well, we don't have the K-Cups, but we do have the refillable K-Cups. So if you're a Keurig coffee drinker, then when you go to ap4libertyshop.com and you go to the Founding Flavors coffee brand, you'll see that we have the reusable Keurigs. So good to have anyway, no matter what. And we priced them so that we don't really make any money on those because we just want to sell coffee, obviously. So get yourself some Founding Flavors coffee at ap4libertyshop.com. Some delicious Founding Flavors coffee. My favorite is Franklin's Electric Elixir and Jeffersonian Java, but I might have a new favorite because we're taste testing a new one in the studio. So get it at ap4libertyshop.com and help to support the message of economic freedom and personal liberty. All right, let's get to our next clip. Speaking of Chris Christie here just a moment ago, he and Vivek Ramaswamy got into it. The debate's all Vivek all the time. Here we go.
People are dying of bad climate change policies than they are of actual climate change.
Governor Haley, are you bought and paid for?
Is down by 98%
Hold on.
in the last century.
Listen.
I've had enough. I've had enough already tonight of a guy who sounds like ChatGPT standing up here. And the last person in one of these debates, Brett, who stood in the middle of the stage and said, what's a skinny guy with an odd last name doing up here, was Barack Obama, and I'm afraid we're dealing with the same type of amateur standing on stage tonight.
He's right, though. As Obama said that in a debate where he said, who's this skinny guy that nobody's ever heard from
Give me
before?
a hug just like you did to Obama.
The same type of amateur.
And you'll help elect me just like you did to Obama, too. Give me that
the same type of amateur.
Give me a hug just like you did to Obama. Oh, my God, dude. He killed him. That is so good. Give me a hug just like you did to Obama. You remember that? Do you remember when Chris Christie hugged Obama?
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
Dude, that was a big deal because that was when there was some hurricane, I think, that had hit New Jersey, and Obama came with federal funds, and Christie hugged him and stuff, and people never let him live that down. Ramaswamy just killed him.
Type of amateur.
Hold on. Where's it at? Hold on.
Standing on stage tonight.
Come over and give me a hug. Give me a hug just like you did to
the same
Obama.
time amateur.
Dude, I love that. I love that so much. It's so good. It's so good. All right. Well, I mean, look, Chris Christie's a good debater, but I mean, I think Ramaswamy's better, to be honest, you know?
I think so. The
Mhm.
crowd was wild last night.
Yeah,
they were rowdy.
They were loving it. They're loving it. They're ready. I mean, you know, this now the official primary season has begun. You know, we've had declared
Yep.
candidates, but with the first debate, we could say that the primary has officially begun. And we've seen a lot of our friends in the media, especially like my buddy Kurt Schlichter and others. I saw Steve Deace, who's not my buddy, he doesn't like me at all, but he's like chosen Ron DeSantis, and Schlichter's for DeSantis, and Marina Medvin, and a lot of our friends have started to pick candidates.
Joe Cardillo, yeah.
Yeah, Cardillo, and that's fine. I like DeSantis. I like Vivek. You know, actually, I think Chris Christie did a good job last night. I know we're supposed to hate him, but like honestly, any of these candidates on stage would be better than what we have right now. Let's be honest.
Yes.
You know,
right.
We've got to get rid of Joe Biden. I mean, he's killing our economy. He's like the price of gas. By the way, nobody's talking about that. The price of gas slowly inching back up.
Yes.
Remember when it was $4 a gallon, right?
Yep.
And it's slowly getting back up there. $3.69 this morning as I was driving in to the studio, and I'm telling you, people can't afford to pay those prices for long before they start complaining. And that's why who was I talking to last night? I think Ian Howarth. Oh yeah, Ian was saying that he does think that Trump can win if he becomes the nominee, just because it becomes this whole. Oh no, it was Cliff Maloney who said it. It becomes this whole. What I said was that people didn't vote for Donald Trump in 2016. They voted for not Hillary Clinton.
Mhm.
And in 2020, they didn't vote for Joe Biden. They voted for not Donald Trump. So Cliff added on to that and said, in 2024, they could easily say, I'm not voting for Joe. I'm voting for not Joe Biden, even if it's Donald Trump, because we got to get away from what we've had so far. And that's what people do. We all go into the voting booth, Camellia, you know this well, and we vote against candidates. We don't
Right.
vote for candidates. You know what I mean?
I hear that probably more than anything else is that people want somebody to vote for.
Talk about that. Tell.
Well, especially we've been knocking doors in Iowa a lot, obviously, and doing a lot of phone calling into early primary states. And when I talk to people, it is just they're frustrated by the hyperpartisanship. They're frustrated by the constant drama and nothing actually getting done. And they just they just want to move forward, and they don't like all of the constant. As much as people like Trump, they don't like all of the constant drama that everything is about him, because it's not getting us anywhere.
Yeah, it's interesting how people have such differing opinions about people like Ramaswamy and others. Some people think he's great. He's growing on me, but our buddy Fed Up Kentuckian, and he's from like the objectivist school of thought. He says it's easy to dominate a debate in last night's format when you are a walking, talking, breathing Amway snake oil salesman bumper sticker. That's funny. That sounds like how people described me in 2016. That was like the number one thing that critics would say about me is they're like, he speaks in a series of bumper stickers and stuff. And it's like, but my response to that was always, so wait, so you can take your ideas and boil them down so that like people can understand them. I mean, that was honestly, I feel like Donald Trump's biggest, even though you and I don't like it, normal people like it when people boil things down, like, explain it to me like I'm 5. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. I'll, and I hate to say this.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
I mean, the masses don't really listen for the substance of the answer most of the time. And that's why Trump can get away with what he does, because, that's what he's really good at, is he can be asked a question and he'll give an answer, and it has absolutely nothing to do with, the question that was asked. And it can be a real word salad that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense if you're actually listening to him. But because of the way he speaks and the way he presents himself, he gets away with it.
Yeah.
And people are like, yeah, what he said.
Yeah.
What did he say?
All right. So I'm going to try and pull this up for our listeners so they can see what we're talking about here with a hug for Obama between Chris Christie and him and Obama. So I'm just kind of scrolling down here. You can see there's Christie and Obama. Look at this where they're arm in arm over here. Gay.
Which, okay, now
Look at this. Look at this. I'm surprised he didn't get his arms all the way around him.
But isn't this the problem?
Look at
though?
this.
Like,
What is?
Come on, isn't
Don't
this?
pull this shit. What is it? We gotta all get along and get together. We need to make friends with our people who want us dead and want to kill our babies. Go ahead, Camellia. Make your point.
In times of crisis, don't we want both sides coming together? People ask for that all of the time, but
Sure,
a
handshake is fine. A handshake is fine, okay? You don't have to get up all in your face and like rub your fupa all over Obama on the. Look at this. Look at this here. He's got this picture. They're just hugging him. All nice and close, you just go in for a strong, firm handshake. That's all you need. You don't look at this. They look like they're like, brother and sister here, right? Which one's the woman? Hold on. All right, we've got some more clips here. Let's move on to the next one here. Vivek, he just dominated the debate last night.
You all signed a pledge to support the eventual Republican nominee. If former President Trump is convicted in a court of law, would you still support him as your party's choice? Please raise your hand if you would.
Okay. Did you see that? Okay, now watch this, Camellia. Let's pull it back this morning and kind of zoom in here. So they said, "Would you pledge to support?" Now watch.
Please raise your hand if you would.
See, Vivek goes up first. Okay, yeah. So you know that's because he's like, yeah, because it's gonna be my daddy Trump. Trump, we love you so long. We love you long time, Donald Trump. But I think, and this was the conspiracy going around last night, I didn't really see it, but I think that they said that DeSantis looked at Vivek before he raised his hand. And you can see, it's kind of small here, but you can see that Vivek goes first.
Raise your hand.
Where's DeSantis? Look, here's DeSantis. So look, he judges the room before he raises his hand. So
Please
right there,
raise your hand if you would.
DeSantis reads the room, and then halfway raises his hand down there. I got to say, man, DeSantis, if you're going to make a decision, bro. Like, you're running for president of the United States. Are you going to support the Republican nominee or not?
Right.
I'm not even saying I demand loyalty or anything right here. Trump probably wouldn't
do or don't.
Yeah, do it or don't, right? Like, get off the pot here. What are we talking about? Don't sit there and equivocate and try and see, who's going to say this and all that stuff. I just think that
I think that's been the chief criticism of DeSantis. People like his policies. They love what he did in Florida. But I think that's just it. They feel like he is tentative.
Yeah.
You cannot run for president.
He's just not feeling confident, right? Like, so when he's governor of Florida, before he was running for president, he was doing fine. He was very confident, very secure, right? I think he feels much stronger against the Democrats, running against Democrats, than he does running against his own party, in a way. Like, he doesn't, which I can understand, right? You don't want, and I learned that lesson too when I ran in 2016, that you want to be careful about attacking too much people within your own party too savagely, because you want their voters, if they, one, change their minds, or two, if you win, you want to be able to unify the party. So that might be what he's thinking about, but still, have you not decided on that, something like that already? Are you deciding it right there? So I don't know. I think it's a problem. But Mike Pence got into it with Vivek last night
on this stage that won't even talk about issues like Social Security and Medicare. I mean, Vivek, you recently said a president can't do everything. Well, I got news for you, Vivek. I've been in the hallway. I've been in the West Wing. A president of the United States has to confront every crisis facing America. I will put our nation back on the path to growth and prosperity and restore fiscal responsibility, just as I did in Congress and as governor,
Mr. Vice President,
and when I was vice president.
But
you were named earlier. I'm going to give Vivek first.
We'll get to both of them.
This isn't that complicated, guys. Unlock American energy, drill, frack, burn coal, embrace nuclear. Put people back to work.
Dude, that is the shit, Mo. That is the shit.
They can call him Chat GPT all they want.
That's
but
not.
I think they do that because he's so clear on things, so succinct.
Dude, ChatGPT would, if it was ChatGPT asked that question, they'd say ChatGPT would respond with, "Well, you have to consider in a time of climate uncertainty, many scientists think that the consensus is on global warming and blah blah blah."
I think that's why they call him that, because he's very knowledgeable. I mean, like, he retains a ton of information and can relay it coherently.
Right, but what I'm saying is that ChatGPT is leftist, and Vivek.
Yes.
If here's the thing, if it was GOP GPT,
Oh my God.
then maybe Vivek Ramaswamy would be that. But that answer is brilliant. I'm gonna copy
Vivek
that.
first.
We'll get to both of
Yeah,
them.
this isn't that complicated, guys. Unlock American energy.
Yeah.
Drill, frack, burn coal, embrace nuclear. Put people back to work by no longer paying them
I love
more
it when
to
it says burn coal, because you know that like the liberals, when they hear that, they're like, it's like, throwing water on the Wicked Witch of the West. They're like, take it down. I'm like, yeah, we should say that a lot about more. Burn coal, right? Actually, I have a t-shirt at apforlibertyshop.com that says rolling coal, and it shows like a truck that's like burning the maximum amount of coal, like burn coal. That's good stuff. I mean, I think Vivek wins the debate hands down just with that answer. What about you?
I think absolutely. I mean, and I think that he really appeals to the hard right, to the Trump supporters, but he's also intellectual enough and well-spoken that I just wonder if he really could kind of peel off some of those people in the middle too.
I think so. Yeah. And especially because he's diverse and people love that shit. So it's like, he would definitely get people for that reason alone. If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, good morning. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. We're having an awesome show so far today. I'm joined in studio by the lovely Camellia Peterson, and she is spelled S-O-N, and I'm an S-E-N, so we are of no relation. But I'm glad to have you here. Make sure that you click like on that stream and subscribe to the channel that you're watching us on this morning. Punch that like button like it's FDR's zombified corpse saying, "Let's pass the Green New Deal." Hit that like button to help us to spread the message of economic freedom and personal liberty. Every time you click a like button, no shit, it burns coal. It's true, because the electricity that goes into it.
Maybe so.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's all burn coal for liberty right now. Click that like button and subscribe as well, which I'm sure burns even more coal as well, because the more people that subscribe, the more electricity we're burning over the long run. Burn coal, burn coal, burn coal, burn coal.
I'm trying to remember which state it is that just opened a new nuclear plant. Like the first
one in
like
California.
ages. No, but I was like, so if you're in that state and you click the button, you got nuclear.
Oh, there you go. That's fine. Well, he's saying nuclear is in there as well. Hold on. I just want to hear him say that one more time, because his response was just so sweet. It just made me so happy. He's GOP GPT.
Guys, unlock American energy. Drill, frack, burn coal, embrace nuclear. Put people back to work by no longer paying them more to stay at home. Reform the U.S. Fed, stabilize the U.S. dollar, and go to war. The only war that I will declare as U.S. president will be the war on the federal administrative state that is the source of those toxic regulations acting like a wet blanket on the economy. So I'm not sure I exactly understood Mike Pence's comment, but I'll let you all parse that out.
Oh, my God.
I get a little excited. Everybody talks about the same, like the administrative state.
Yes. Oh, my God. The left is listening to that like... Oh, my God. We're having too much fun for 7:30 in the morning, aren't we? It must be the coffee. It must be the coffee from apforlibertyshop.com. Hold on. I got to take a break. Woo. I got to have to change my underwear.
Oh.
Okay. You know how I feel. Camellia's like...
How dare you?
All right. We got more Vivek again dominating. And then, of course, if you thought that was good, Camellia, it only gets better from there. Let's continue.
Mr. Ramaswamy, hold on, Senator Scott.
You've said that... Shut up and sit down. We got a winner in the audience here.
Mr. Ramaswamy, hold on, Senator Scott. You've said that the Department of Education, the FBI, the ATF, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the IRS, the Department of Commerce, many of these should not exist.
That's correct.
So to the education question, how would you deal with the crisis?
So look, we have a crisis of achievement. Let's shut down the head of the snake, the Department of Education. Take that $80 billion, put it in the hands of parents across this country. This is the civil rights issue of our time. Allow any parent to choose where they send their kids to school. End the teachers' unions at the local level to allow public schools to compete.
Oh, Camellia is so good.
Okay, so like everybody's like, who's Doug Burgum? Who's the governor of North Dakota? Right?
I know. The guy who broke his ankle.
Here's the thing is that I didn't hear if he responded to this question, but literally this last week, Doug Burgum vetoed school choice legislation that had passed in his state. Yes. And so I was like, ooh, that's kind of bad timing coming up on the debate.
No, dude. What's amazing is it's like Vivek is giving all the right answers, and like none of the other GOP candidates can seem to give any of the right answers. Like they don't know where the base is. They don't understand where the Republican Party is at today. Vivek, though, he's got his finger on the pulse.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. And I think that part of the reason that his campaign can do that is that he is everywhere. He's not just been on media, he's been in person everywhere. He was at the LP Pork Fest, for Pete's sake.
Vivek was?
Yes.
Well, good for him.
I mean, so like he's literally been everywhere.
Yeah, I got to say, I think Vivek Ramaswamy absolutely killed it last night. And a lot of people were agreeing with us. It was an amazing performance by Ramaswamy. And I got to give it to him. He wins the debate. Second place, Ron DeSantis. But there was this really awkward moment that Ron DeSantis had. I don't know if you saw this, Camellia, but I'm going to actually pull it up here real quick. Hold on one second. I've got this. We're getting ready to move on to the Trump and Tucker Carlson interview. But there was this moment with Ron DeSantis that made me feel just very, I don't know, a certain way. Yeah, here it is. Let me just pause this. I'm going to pull this up here real quick. I want you to watch Ron DeSantis's face here. Okay, so I don't know if you saw this moment, but look at this. I'm going to put this on replay here. Look at Ron DeSantis.
I will not let you down. And I will not let you down.
That's odd.
That's odd.
And I will not let you down.
Almost in pain.
Yeah. Well, there's the guy, the pain face guy on the right, obviously, so it's a meme, but that gives me the ick. That gives me the ick.
It's like that may mean nothing. That may not be reflective of what's going on inside his head. But the fact is that body language is so important.
Yes.
If he can't fix little things like that, then he's going to
will not let you down.
People read that.
Yeah,
way,
no, for sure. No, for sure. That gives me the ick. Let's watch it. Here we go. Watch it transition.
And I will not let you down.
And I will not let you down. Listen, I like Ron DeSantis. I want to see Ron do well, but he's got to get better handlers. He's got to have somebody coaching him on that kind of stuff. I don't know how, but
it's really hard to see how he can turn it around even at this point, because they just did a campaign reset and it hasn't seemed to make a
big difference at all.
So
Yeah.
I will be really interested for whatever polls are worth anymore, but it'll be interesting to see the polling that comes out in the next couple of weeks following this debate. I know some people who thought that the whole thing was a mess and they didn't care about it, and they are still looking for somebody else. There's still people that are talking about whether or not Glenn Youngkin will jump in.
God, I feel like it's almost too late at this point.
That's right. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, we just crossed 100 live viewers.
Sweet.
52 over on Rumble. 56 over on YouTube. Woot. We appreciate you guys very much. Good morning. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. Everybody wants to hear what happened in the debate. We were playing the Vivek Ramaswamy clips. He absolutely dominated. I feel like we definitely need to kind of like go back and do a once through again for people who are just tuning in through those. And then we'll just do like a kind of sweep for the Vivek clips. But we are going to move on to the Donald Trump stuff because obviously Donald Trump was not there, but he was there in spirit. Yeah.
The watch party that I was at last night.
Yeah.
So there was a projector screen that, it was a big room. There's kind of like a little side sections on the other side of where we were, but there was another screen set up on the other side of the room so that they could stream Trump's
because we're all curious. We all wanted to know. Did you get
that? Was very low though. And I didn't
You didn't get to hear any of it? Okay, so you missed. You missed Tucker Carlson asking him about Jeffrey Epstein.
Okay,
that was cray. So Tucker Carlson said he specifically thinks that Epstein was murdered,
Right.
And of course Trump kind of didn't answer it exactly. He said he didn't know, and you know what? I mean, that's a good answer. If you don't know, you don't know. I don't mind politicians who say I don't know when they really don't know, right? So when they say they don't know and they do know and they're lying, it depends. If it's foreign policy, then that's a different question. National security is one thing, but on when it comes to the Jeffrey Epstein thing, Trump hung out with a dude, right? So he probably has more information than all of us. But here's the thing: they were talking about the prosecutor Bill Barr because Tucker was pushing Trump on the fact that his attorney general said he was going to do an investigation. There was no investigation into what happened to Jeffrey Epstein, which is why people, I think, in large part are so suspicious, but also the fact that all of these like Hollywood celebrities, royalty, U.S. presidents who rode on the Lolita Express. Did you ever read about the plane, like what went on the airplane and stuff, Camellia?
I don't think so.
No, you never did. Okay, so without getting into too much detail because it's so early in the morning, let's just say that there's Bill Clinton got massages from young ladies, and there's a bed in the plane, and frequently there would be adult interactions that would occur on the plane itself on the way to the island, right? So here's the thing, if you rode on that jet, you knew who he was.
I was going to say, how do you not know?
Yeah. You knew who he was. And if you're Donald Trump, who's always surrounded by beautiful young women all the time, Jeffrey Epstein, you're going to talk about that stuff. I think Trump probably knows more than he's letting on with the Epstein stuff, and he's got to be really careful because honestly, these are the most powerful people in the world, dude. And I agree with Tucker. I think that they killed him.
It is surprising that Trump has been kind of given a pass on that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, the people who support him the most are also the most hardcore Epstein was killed people, and so
for sure.
they kind of ignore Trump's involvement in that too.
Yeah, I think I've got the clip of that. I hadn't pulled it up before, but let me just go ahead and grab it real quick and then drop it here for our listeners. Let's head over there. Here we go. This is a little preview of that.
News debate tonight in Milwaukee.
Well, a lot of people have been asking me that.
When you say there are people on stage who shouldn't be running for president, who do you mean? Whatever happened to Mike Pence? He's out there attacking you. What is that? Yeah. Do you think Epstein killed himself sincerely? Do you think we're moving towards civil?
This is just a preview of it, so they're not showing us the good stuff here. But I'll see if I can find a clip of that. But meanwhile, let's just grab the actual beginning of that interview that he did with Donald Trump right here.
Yes.
Thank you.
Why are you at the Fox News debate tonight in Milwaukee?
Well, a lot of people have been asking me that, and many people said you shouldn't do them, but you see the polls have come out, and I'm leading by 50 and 60 points, and some of them are at 1 and 0 and 2, and I'm saying, do I sit there for an hour or 2 hours, whatever it's going to be, and get harassed by people that shouldn't even be running for president? Should I be doing that? And a network that isn't particularly friendly to me, frankly. They were backing Ron DeSanctimonious like crazy, and now
everybody's going after Fox News these days. It's hilarious.
Up on him. I mean, it's a lost cause.
Lost cause. Wow.
Oh, man, that was good stuff. I mean, listen, it's true. He doesn't have to be at the debate. I think he should be at the debate. I think it'd be better for our country if he's at the debate, but it's not good for him, so he's not going to do it.
Right. Yeah. Did he sound like a little I don't know. Did his voice sound good?
Yeah, he's been slurring his speech lately, honestly, and I think that's in large part because he's old.
Well, and he has to be. I mean, for all of his, bravado, he has to be under a lot of stress
for sure
with everything that's been going
on. And all the investigations and the indictment and all that crap. Absolutely.
Does it not take a toll?
Yeah, I think I've got the Epstein part of this. Take a listen.
I read Barr's account of his time. He wrote a book about it,
right?
His autobiography, and in it he lies about Jeffrey Epstein's death. Clearly lies. Do you think Epstein killed himself sincerely?
I don't know. I will say that he was a fixture in Palm Beach.
Yeah.
I don't know what Barr said about it either. I have no idea what he said. What did he say? He killed himself, probably?
He said he killed himself and that they were going to do this investigation. They never did the investigation. It's never been public. And they hid it. And why are they doing that? And clearly Barr knew. But why would Bill Barr be covering up the death of Jeffrey Epstein?
Bill Barr didn't do an investigation on the election fraud either, okay? He said he did, and he pretended he did, but he didn't. McSwain, the U.S. attorney in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, said Barr just wouldn't let him do it. It was crazy. Barr became so petrified, so frightened of being impeached. They were going to impeach him. I don't know if you remember it.
Yeah.
It's not a big moment in history. But they said, we're going to impeach. You know, they play a much rougher game, the left, the lunatics.
He's right.
And they were going to impeach Bill Barr, and he was petrified. Now, how do you not get impeached? Don't do any of this stuff. But he didn't do the job there. I don't know what he did with that.
Sort of insinuating that Barr may have, because of the fear of impeachment, he may have let that Epstein investigation slide. He's kind of sideways inferring that, isn't he?
That's what it sounds like.
That's scary. I mean, that amount of power. Because think about all those names that were on the list. I mean, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, I think, flew on the plane. I mean, we're talking about like high members of Congress, like people who own the government, the puppet masters. Like not just the puppets, but the puppet masters are out there on that list. I mean, Bill Gates is on that list. His wife cited his association with Jeffrey Epstein. His ex-wife Bill Gates cited his association with Jeffrey Epstein as one of the reasons why she divorced him. I kid you not. If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, good morning. We've got a big audience today. Nice to see 70 people watching us over on YouTube. And 74 over on Rumble, which means that's the biggest audience that we have ever had total on the Wake Up America show. Good morning.
Awesome.
Good to have you here. Make sure you click like on the channel and subscribe, especially if you're watching us over on Rumble, because we're really trying to grow on the free speech platform out there. So I know that for a lot of people, you have to sign in and then you have to get your account and sign in and all that stuff. But do it for us. Do it for freedom. Do it for America. God bless America. God bless you if you click that subscribe button right now. One subscribe is one blessing. One ignore means you become Satan's butt buddy.
You know, so when somebody posted a picture, somebody who we know who attended the debate last night, posted a picture of their name tag and lanyard, and I noticed on the lanyard, Rumble was right there on the lanyard next to the tag, so they must have been a supporter.
I'm really proud. I'm an investor in Rumble. Full disclosure. I think that they absolutely have a future. They are starting to get to compete with YouTube for me because they're starting to add the monetization in that YouTube has. So like we have monthly subscribers on YouTube, which you should definitely become one if you're not. And you can also do the same thing on Rumble as well. And just an FYI, if you are a monthly subscriber and you don't have your discount code for AP for Liberty shop, make sure you hit me up in the DMs. Easiest way is to on Twitter DMs, hit me up in the Twitter DM and let me know that you're a subscriber on which channel and I'll go verify it. And then I'll give you your 20% discount code because it's a great way to save money. And yesterday, did you see I dropped a new T-shirt, the George Washington with a lightsaber
Oh, I
T-shirt?
didn't see that one yet.
So George Washington was familiar with the grifters of his day. And he had a quote that he said, guard against the impostures of pretended patriotism. And so essentially he's saying don't trust the grifters, right? Don't trust a hoe. So we've got George Washington in the synthwave style of the show, of the Wake Up America show, where he's holding a lightsaber. It's a totally badass shirt. It's called Guardians of Liberty. And I think we're going to do a whole series of them with the Founding Fathers where they're all like Jedi Knights. So go check out that at ap4libertyshop.com. We've got an awesome show for you today. We've got Daniella Pentsak is going to join us on the show today at 8:30 a.m. to give us an update on a Christian charity that was debanked by Bank of America. We're going to talk about that. And then at 8 o'clock, in about 12 minutes, we've got Brandon Herrera, the AK gun guy. And here's what I want to know. Since rights mean that you have a right to somebody else's property, right? Meaning that like welfare, for example, I have a right to take your shit. Then doesn't the Second Amendment therefore mean that the government should be giving us all free guns? And so what I want to know is will Brandon Herrera commit today to giving us all a free AK-47? Because they're giving them out to the Ukrainians.
All right.
How come we can't get them?
I mean, hey, if the government's gonna take money from everybody, we could just do it for them and have our guns, and we could just take the money ourselves for other people.
All right, yeah. So I've already got an AK-47, and our buddy Matt Unruh got one because I gave him one. So Nice. There you go. The free market does work to give away free guns as well. So So anyways, we're going to talk to Brandon Herrera here in about just 10 minutes away. It's going to be a great show. Again, make sure you click like and subscribe to the channel that you're watching us on. Let's continue with our discussion between Donald Trump and Tucker Carlson. They were talking about Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Barr.
Possibly.
Do you think it's possible that Epstein was killed?
Oh, sure, it's possible. I mean, I don't really believe. I think he probably committed suicide. He had a life with, beautiful homes and beautiful everything, and he all of a sudden he's incarcerated and not doing very well. I would say that.
Yeah, not doing very well. Yes.
But there are those people. There are many people. I think you're one of them, right? But a lot of people think that he was killed. He knew a lot on a lot of people.
He was killed.
You think so?
I think the closer you look, I'm not a conspiracy person at all. I believe everything I hear.
I'm not a conspiracy person at all, but here's the conspiracy right there.
But yeah, the closer you look into it, I mean, the Attorney General of the United States, your Attorney General, clearly lied about the Epstein death.
Yeah,
and
he was.
Why?
He was certainly. It wasn't well done. They had no cameras. They had no anything. Everybody was sleeping, and a case could be made. Look, I'm not going to get involved in it, but I can tell you a case could be made either way. But it certainly wasn't the most well-run place.
I read
Barr's wasn't the most well-run place. He's talking about that federal jail that he was sitting in. Now, one of the best parts, you might have missed this one, was so funny. And this is why Donald Trump is winning. It's because he's so damn funny. Well, listen to this.
She has some bad moments. Her moments are almost as bad as his. I think his are worse, actually.
Yeah.
But
she seems pretty senile, too.
She speaks in
I mean, yes.
Yes. This is now the most watched Wake Up America show in history. 90 people watching on Rumble, 60 people over on YouTube. God bless America.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Nice to see everybody here with us today. We're super excited about that. But if you got to leave, I understand. Just don't leave without clicking like and subscribe before you leave today. We appreciate that very much. It's exciting to see all these big numbers for us today. And it really means a lot for us small streamers who are trying to help spread a message, because we definitely are all about the message of economic freedom and personal liberty. And we love America. And we're a really cool friend group as well. So Camellia, we had a couple weeks ago, segue very briefly, and then we got to get to Brandon Herrera. But we had we say a reunion, but it was our first kind of like meetup for all of the Wake Up America show fans a couple weeks ago. Went on a canoe trip and had a hell of a lot of fun, and we're making friends, and it's a really cool group, isn't it?
It is, and I think that's something that I've always said about the work that you've done in media, is that you have a gift for creating community. I mean, I met one of my best friends, in the world, on the live stream for your radio show at the time. And so I think that the people who come they're not just, listeners of the show, or they don't just watch. I mean, they interact with us, they become our friends. And I think that's great. And people supporting, I was thinking about this when you're talking about Rumble, and then about how the show is growing here. People supporting shows like this is the free market at work. Mm-hmm. And there have been lots of social media and other platforms that have come and gone. And like things like Rumble, things like the Wake Up America show, sometimes like it takes a while to get going, but they have staying power.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what's really important. And I was thinking about that with Rumble, is that's what we have seen is like, is it perfect yet? No, There's still lots of room for improvement. There's always room for improvement. But I think that if people will stay with it and keep voting with their dollars and supporting those platforms, that, we will see change. We'll see the free market work.
I agree. We've got a great show for you left to go today. It is not over yet. We have got Brandon Herrera, the AK gun guy who's running for Congress in San Antonio. He is going to be joining us this morning in about 7 minutes from now. We're going to have Brandon on the show, running for Congress in San Antonio. He is probably the premier defender of the Second Amendment in the country. Him and you may have heard of, who's the other guy? Grantham. I don't know if you've seen him online.
I have.
He and Brandon run around in the same circles together. I think Grantham is from Texas as well. But I'm excited to have Brandon on the show. And then we've got Daniella Pentsak, who she works as a field coordinator for Turning Point USA for their high school program. And she has really grown up on the show. It's been exciting to see how she has started, and she was kind of shy at first, and now she's really becoming like a premier journalist for us.
I love Daniella.
She's funny. funny.
She is funny, but she's just so straight-laced about everything that sometimes you don't see it coming, and that's the best.
Yes.
But I think it's going to be interesting. I would love to hear her take on the debate last night because, for all her libertarian tendencies, Daniella's kind of a Trump girl.
Oh yes, she is a Trump girl, but that's fine. We accept everyone here. Yes. All right. Well, we've got to. Yes, we're very inclusive. All right, we got to go to commercial break. When we get back, the man, the AK-47 gun guy, will be joining us live. You don't want to miss it. We'll be right back. Don't you dare leave. Go grab some popcorn or some Founding Flavors coffee on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
And I approve this message. Believe me, Austin Peterson is the best. He's got the greatest Wake Up America show I've ever seen. Whenever I tune in the mornings and watch the live stream, let me tell you, he has got the absolute best content. I love his guests. It's just a total blast to watch, and I highly endorse and recommend the Wake Up America show. It's terrific, believe me.
Hello, my name is Kelvin. Welcome to Frenchy Bush. This is my Didi's website. Now I've decided to speak to you with my real voice for the first time ever to tell you about how cool Frenchy Bush is. But I've decided that this is the perfect opportunity to share with you. Frenchy Bush is a good website. You should follow us on socials. If you like Frenchies or any kind of bulldogs, me and my new brother George are going to try to make your life more fun.
Hello, I'm George. My neck isn't really thick yet, but it will be. We are so glad you're here. Please ignore my floating eyeball. It helps me spot predators who might be approaching from the sides.
Didi made Frenchy Bullshit to review things that he uses on me and my brother to tell you if it's good or bullshit. Take this collar, for example. Didi really likes it. Didi said it's really handy because us Frenchies got thick necks. Need something really tough. People think Frenchies are little, but if you look at us from below, you can see we are really pretty buff. Beefcake, yes. Look at my creamy thighs and chest. Yes, you like that?
Big brother, please focus.
Frenchy Bush. Please follow us for more great content and read the Frenchy Bush blog for more fun and cool stuff.
I'm a public defender.
I am a public defender.
I'm proud to be a public defender.
80% of Americans accused of a crime will get appointed a public defender.
Everybody from a speeding ticket to capital murder.
For every dollar we spend on public defenders, we spend $3 on prosecutors.
Public defenders have to do pretty much everything on their own.
Social workers, counselors.
Investigating is another piece of it.
The average public defender holds 300 cases annually.
You never feel like there's enough time.
Public defenders have health issues all the time.
A lot of people give up and say, I can't do this work anymore.
Gideon's Promise trains, mentors, and supports public defenders.
There are a lot of people who say that they would not still be public defenders, but for Gideon's Promise.
It's fueled me to continue on in this fight.
Gideon's Promise has changed the face of public defense.
People see us as troublemakers.
Good trouble only.
We don't make it easy. It should not be easy to take away someone's liberty.
Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your pro-freedom values? Fed up with sipping liberal lattes and progressive cappuccinos? Introducing Founding Flavors from AP for Liberty Shop. Get your day started with Washington's Revolutionary Roast. As robust and principled as the man himself, this blend is the shot of energy heard round the world. Or maybe you want to taste the fervor of freedom with Adams's Patriotic Perk. It's as dynamic and balanced as the U.S. Constitution, sure to awaken your spirit of liberty. For the aficionados mangoes, we've got the Jeffersonian Java, a complex mix of flavors that speaks volumes about your refined tastes. And don't forget Betsy's Liberty Lullaby, our decaf option, crafted with the same care and dedication Betsy Ross put into our Star-Spangled Banner. This blend lets you enjoy the taste of freedom anytime without losing sleep. No woke beans here, folks. Just pure, patriotic, pro-freedom flavors brewed with love for liberty. So why compromise your principles for a cup of coffee? Stand up for your values, perk up your patriotism, and start your day the American way. Get your founding flavors at apforlibertyshop.com. Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Thanks so much for getting up early and joining us here today. We're grateful to have you. Of course, the lovely Camellia Peterson here in studio as well. Give her a round of applause.
Good morning.
All right, no catcalling, boys. I see you there in the chat. She does look very nice today. Thank you for joining us, Camellia. We appreciate it very much. All right, I think I figured out why we have such a big audience this morning, an unusually large audience. I think I've determined it, and I think it's because of our next guest who's joining us here live right now. He's running for Congress in San Antonio, a man that I met when I was running for president of the United States. And I remember the things that he said to me. He was very skeptical, and I think skeptical of politicians before he became one. And he said to me, he's like, I'm surprised that a politician would want to be seen carrying an AK-47. Well, I picked it up, and I carried a lot more than AK-47s. Joining us now, running for fresh from his announcement that he's running for Congress in Texas, is Brandon Herrera. Give him a round of applause. Good morning, Brandon.
Morning, man. It's a long time no see. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. And congratulations on your announcement. I sent you a donation the other day, and I look forward to supporting your run. Absolutely. Very excited about the possibility of having a very pro-Second Amendment candidate in the race. So, Brandon, for those of you in my audience who might not know much about you, this might be the first time they're hearing from you, would you just give us a little bit of background on yourself and who you are and why you decided to run for Congress?
For sure. Yeah. Well, I'm a 0702 FFL, a gun manufacturer, small business owner, entrepreneur, all that. But most people would know me from YouTube, where I run one of the largest firearm channels on the internet. We're almost at about 3 million subscribers now. And basically we use that platform just to teach about, weapon design, military history, stuff like that. And also, teach using comedy and entertainment as a vessel to teach firearm safety and, preach about why the federal government sucks, for lack of a better word. But that's kind of what we do. I'm glad that I can contribute to an unusually large audience this morning. That's the first time I've ever been linked to anything unusually large, I think. So that's a great superlative for me.
So why run for Congress, Brandon?
Well, man, I never really intended to get into this realm. I was going to leave that to guys like you. I didn't want to, go through the song and dance of getting up and ruining my life. But unfortunately,
I actually win.
Well, that's the idea. Well, I don't even know how much I want to do that. It's like I really want to scare this guy that's in office right now, and I really want him to lose his job. And if that means I have to take it, then I'll bear that burden, because this guy is my congressional representative, Tony Gonzalez. He's a weak rhino Republican. He voted for gun control. He voted for amnesty. He's voted against the Republican Party on some issues that I really just don't agree with him on. And he seems very determined to continue doing so. And I would aim to not let him have that chance.
All right. Well, Brandon, that sounds admirable. Certainly, that's the way that we advocate for it. Camellia, she works for Americans for Prosperity, so she does a lot of door knocking and door-to-door campaigning. And one of the things that we always talk about is that people got to stop complaining about politicians, and they're going to have to step up and run for office. And sometimes you got to hold your nose and do the dirty job, which it's not fun. And I imagine that you've probably gotten some attacks already, Brandon. I mean, they're doing Oppo research on you right now. And I don't know how long you've been campaigning, but just like for a couple of weeks and stuff like that. But how has the Republican Party of Texas treated you so far?
Actually, not too bad. So Tony Gonzalez, even though he's the establishment, incumbent, he doesn't really have a lot of fans in the Republican Party itself. They actually voted to censure him a few months ago because of how much he's turned his nose to the party, and not just the party, because I hate treating the party like it's some sacred thing. Like, if the party's wrong, the party's wrong. But he's also just turned his back on the conservative values that got him elected, and really just kind of the conservative values you'd expect out of somebody from Texas. So and basically the party is just down for anybody that can knock this guy out of his seat, who kind of holds those values a little bit better. So hopefully that's us. We'll see.
Well, what are your values? I mean, we know where you stand on the Second Amendment. I think that's easy enough. But where do you stand on the other major issues of the day? Let's start with, for example, funding to Ukraine. Your thoughts?
So that's an interesting one, because that was one where everybody was on board with Ukraine right off the bat. And it's easy to see why. You want to respect a country's sovereignty if they're being invaded by a third party, a bigger country in a military exercise. But it quickly became just another vessel for a proxy war, which it's so sad to see that the United States is still not learning its lesson about getting involved in proxy wars in other countries, halfway across the globe. I don't think it would necessarily be that. I understand the strategic, testing of our weapons against literally what they were designed to destroy. I understand weakening our potential adversaries strategically without having to shed American blood on foreign soil. But at the same time, if NATO's not pulling their weight and the American taxpayer is funding the entirety of a proxy war to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars, that's a problem.
You refer there to, or at least you seem to be inferring, that Russia is our enemy. There are many in the Republican Party, specifically on the populist right, specifically people who call themselves Christian nationalists. I think the Delaware candidate, Lauren Witzke, says that, for example, that she identifies with Vladimir Putin and his Christian nationalist principles far more than with Jewish nationalist Volodymyr Zelensky. So you do think that Russia is our enemy?
Not necessarily. I see that they've been a historic enemy of ours. I don't still carry in that Cold War mentality of Russia is the enemy. There's a lot of things. I agree with some of what she says, where, I think they have a lot stronger family values and are more rooted in, traditional conservative values over there to this day. A lot of Eastern Europe does as well. But at the same time, their alliances with countries like China and, all of BRICS is kind of just the anti-NATO. Strategically, I could see, obviously they're who we would be worried about, but I have plenty of friends in Russia, and I don't think the Russian people, it's the same thing it always comes down to, is like the Russian people aren't the enemy. It's just governments bickering back and forth.
That's what I was going to mention. He just said it. Yeah. It was like that's so often the distinction that's not made is we don't just distinguish between the people and their tyrannical leaders.
So he answered a question you were going to ask already. All right. If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, good morning. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. Glad to have you here. We have Camellia Peterson in studio. We're speaking to the AK gun guy, Brandon Herrera. He's running for Congress, runs one of the biggest Second Amendment YouTube channels in the world. He's running to unseat his representative, his Republican representative, who he is accusing of being a rhino, would you say, this Tony Gonzalez character?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's we've been having a little bit of fun with him on Twitter. Going over to Ox Ranch and taking photos with the actual rhinos they have over there. Like, hey, taking selfies this morning with Tony Gonzalez.
That's very funny, Brandon. That's very funny. All right, well, let's move on to some more red meat issues for Republicans, Libertarians, and Conservatives. Where do you stand on abortion, Brandon?
So that's one of the fun bits that I get to kind of bow out of that question a little bit because of where I stand on it. Okay. Because my stance on it, and I firmly believe this, is that the federal government should not be involved at all. This is a 10th Amendment state issue. The state should be able to decide this one for themselves. If Texas wants to ban it, that's up to them. If California wants to allow it, as much as we might disagree, that is a state issue. That is the way the Constitution is set up. And in federal office, I really don't think I should have a say in it, is my opinion. And that's something that should be up to state legislature, state governors, and basically the way it's always meant to be. Like the the federal government's gone out of control with things that they were never supposed to even have an opinion on in the first place, because people forget the federal government was, to, provide a basis for all of the states to then go on and create their own laws and as they saw fit. And it's just become this giant monstrosity that has people in California ruling people in Florida. And I just think that's not the way it's supposed to be.
The state of New York quite frequently abrogates the gun rights of its own citizens. It does that on the state level, and the Supreme Court has had to step in multiple times to overturn New York's draconian gun laws. Is it appropriate for the federal government to overrule state law when it comes to the Second Amendment?
I don't believe so, because that is one that is specifically noted in the Bill of Rights. And, there's several states that were on the fence about even joining the United States and, ratifying the Constitution until certain provisions were made, like, the right to free speech, the right to own a firearm. The Bill of Rights was very, very important in the Constitution. So that is a guaranteed, really, it's a natural right, but is a right that's guaranteed by the Constitution. And
see, I struggle with that, because the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, implies the right to life is something that should be protected as well. So I see the conservative argument for a federal ban on abortion, because if we should say that the Supreme Court should overturn New York's gun laws, then why don't we say the same thing for the right to life? You know what I'm saying, Camellia?
Yeah, and it's funny because this was a topic in the debate last night too. Is the question of whether or not you would do something at the federal level.
Yeah, it's a tough question, but one that probably we don't have to worry about at the moment, because we did at least overturn Roe versus Wade, and
now the states have to worry.
Now the states got to worry about it, right? So
absolutely, the one way I actually could see the federal government getting involved that does make sense to me is just when it comes to the hypocrisy in the law, or really just the inconsistency in the law when it comes to what is a life. I think the federal government really needs to decide better if murder is going to be a federal crime. We need to determine what a life even is, because it doesn't make sense to me that you should be able to kill an unborn baby, but at the same time, if somebody shoots and kills a pregnant mother, it's a double homicide. That makes no sense to me, because the government has not decided yet where a life begins.
That's a good answer there, Brandon. Let's move on to questions about the economy. Donald Trump has proposed a potential 10% tariff on all imported goods. Is that something you'd support?
It depends, is really what it comes down to. I liked a lot of Trump's policy when it came to tariffs on China, for example, because he was talking about how, we have these unfair tariffs where they're taxing the hell out of our stuff, but we don't tax theirs. And that's really not putting us in a good position to remain a superior manufacturing powerhouse throughout the world like we have been since World War II. But you also have to worry about the issues of, imported goods and things that do sustain our economy, especially in runaway inflation and raising the rising cost of, living and cost of goods here in the States. That could also backfire immediately.
Well, I would highly recommend that if you haven't yet, that you take a look at Henry Hazlitt's book, Economics in One Lesson, because he does a very good job at debunking some of the theories surrounding tariffs and the actual impact that they have on American citizens. But we don't have time for a whole economics lecture right now, but I would highly encourage that you check that out if you haven't read Henry Hazlitt just yet. But I'd like to ask you about the national debt, and specifically what you think should be done about it. Congress has the power of the purse. You're running for the U.S. Congress. What do you think should be done?
I think we need to do an absolute overhaul on the amount of runaway spending we've got right now. It's absurd. I remember when I first became politically active, the national debt was only in the teens of trillions, and now it's easily double that and beyond. I don't see how we can remain a first world power and owe trillions and trillions of dollars to every other country under the sun.
Congressman Thomas Massie kind of famously compromised and voted to raise the debt ceiling in the last session. You think it's appropriate for us to continue to raise the debt ceiling in such a way?
I don't think it's sustainable. I think it's something that I guess in the short term needs to be done, but I don't like the fact that it's being done without a plan to stop doing it in the future. That's just kicking the can down the road.
Well, and I would say, in fairness, to Thomas Massey, like he had a strategic reason for doing so.
Simp.
Yes, I
Thomas
will.
Massey, simp.
Well, speaking of simping for congressman, Brandon, do you have who are your favorites in the House and Senate?
There's a few people that I like, specifically even locally. We've got Troy Nehls, we've got Chip Roy. They're very good. I like a lot of what the Freedom Caucus is doing. Sometimes, in the very beginning, a little bit of their methods were kind of, I didn't know if I necessarily agreed with how they were doing it, but they're actually getting stuff done. Even though it's Republican infighting, it seems to be infighting that's at least pushing the party in a more conservative direction instead of this, on the fence middle ground stuff. So I really have kind of been enjoying that.
If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, good morning. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. Glad to have you here. Over 110 people watching us on Rumble Live right now. Super grateful for that.
Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, 53 people over on YouTube. Biggest show we've had in terms of live audience. We're really grateful for that. I know it's because of the superstar guest. Yeah, thanks, Brandon. We appreciate that. Star Power bringing along this morning. But I know that some people, they like to tune into live streams and they pop in, they pop out. Somebody earlier said they poop in and they pooped out, but I think they meant pop in, pop out. So do us a favor and click that like button to help us to fight the algorithm, fight back against big tech censorship of little streams like this that are trying to get out the message of economic freedom and personal liberty. Mark Zuckerberg doesn't like the message that we're pushing out there today. But give him the boo. Yeah, hit the boo button. That the big tech gods don't like what we're pushing here. So help us to push back. Click that like button and subscribe to the channel before you leave today. We'd be super grateful for that. Brandon, who are you voting for president?
Oh, that's a tough one. So I have a prediction.
And there's my evil laugh button. Here it is.
I don't even think I'm going to get an opportunity to do so in the primary. I think Trump is going to win in the primary by a landslide. I just don't know if he can carry the actual election. If I had to predict that I think Trump will win the primary by a landslide and lose the general.
Well, that seems to be the prevailing opinion.
Yeah. I'm frightened.
It's depressing.
8 more years of winter, or 4 more years of winter, rather.
Exactly. The groundhog saw his shadow for sure. Do you like Trump, Brandon?
You know what? I really enjoyed his presidency because I do think he messed up a lot of stuff in as far as like guns and things. I think he had a lot of bad advisors in that regard because I don't personally think he's anti-Second Amendment. I don't think he cares that much, to be honest. I think he had bad advisors in the NRA, which really screwed things over for bump stocks and things. But I really liked a lot of his economic stuff. I enjoyed more than anything in the world how much he made people I don't like sad. And it was 4 years of very entertaining memes.
Let's be fair, that was a lot of Trump's appeal for a lot of people. He fights.
He fights. What do you think of Vivek Ramaswamy? He seemed to do pretty well in debate last night. Snake oil salesman or legit?
So I've actually sat down and talked with Vivek fairly recently, about a week and a half ago, and the man's sharp. I don't know. That's a tough one, especially when you're talking about a politician of that level. I don't know if it's real or not. I don't know if it's authentic, but it came off as very authentic. And he was actually off camera, was a really nice guy, very sharp. It's one of those dudes you could sit in a room with and realize, oh, he's rabidly intelligent. This is I am at an IQ mismatch here. This man is clearly the intellectual alpha, but yeah, he said all the right things. Well, happens to me more than I'd care to admit. But he said all the right things. I guess we're just going to see if he follows through with it.
Brandon, I haven't endorsed many people for office, but I think it's quite clear with the fact that I've already donated to your primary that I'm endorsing you in this race, and you have my full support. And I'm encouraging all of the listeners to the show right now. If you don't know much about Brandon, if today's the first time that you've heard about him, definitely check out his website, Brandon Herrera for Congress, and just kick in a small donation if you can. Help Brandon win, because when Brandon wins, liberty wins. That's my point of view. But of course, do your own homework and your own research, because he's a politician now, so I'm sure he'll disappoint us at some point. Brandon, is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners before we let you go today?
I just appreciate it, man, and I appreciate any help that you can offer as well. Because I would love to pick your brain at some point, because you've been here, you've done this, you've done this on a higher level than I ever am going to do it. As far as the libertarian presidential race, your Senate race, not too long ago. It seems like not too long ago. I forget how many years ago that was. Now it's kind of a little scary.
Gone by. It's been 84 years.
Well, I appreciate watching you and the way that you've progressed through the years, and I can't wait to find new and creative ways to ruin my own life.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Ruined. The one thing that I learned more than anything, Brandon, is to listen more than you talk. Right? Tell everybody that you think they're pretty. Don't disagree with everyone. Tell them all what they want to hear, and you'll do just fine. And then once you get in Congress and you have power, then be as liberty as you want to be. Brandon, we wish you the best. Anything else you want to share with our listeners before we let you go?
I just appreciate you having me on, man. Even if it meant waking up before 8 o'clock. I still appreciate you dragging me out of bed.
That's sad. All right. Thanks, Brandon. You have a great day, man. We appreciate you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. That's Brandon Herrera, running for Congress in Texas. Pretty good guy. What do you think there, huh?
I like him, and I like some of the things he mentioned, because when you asked him, when he was talking about what he would like to do and he wants to pick your brain, that's one of the things I was thinking about and when I think about this with Vivek a lot too, I think it's probably one of the single most important things is who someone surrounds themselves with.
Yes.
Like, I want to know, like, yes, you're smart. Yes, you say all the right things. I want to know who your mentors are, who your advisors are, who are the people that you value. And I mean, if he's going to pick your brain about things, I think we're on the right track.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. We'll see if he follows up on it. You never know. But I've known Brandon for a number of years. Again, I did meet him at his ranch. We shot guns together, and he's a smart guy. He's on the right track, and he's definitely done a lot of good for our country already. I think he could do good for us in Congress. So,
yeah, I think so. One of the things I hope he looks at, and then I'm sure he can, if he picks your brain on this, you'll let him know, is like, I'm constantly thinking now when candidates are running, especially when they're primarying an incumbent, because my goodness, the power of the incumbency. I mean, whether the grassroots are loudly decrying the rhino that's in office, boy, when it comes down to it, if you don't have a great strategy for how you're going to do your campaign and reach people, normies, like, seriously,
you're
going to have a hard time, even if the guy that's in there is terrible.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's exciting to see. We now, at this point, immediately have the most simultaneous viewers we have ever had on the Wake Up America show. That we are so excited for this right now. And I know that it has to do with our awesome guest that we just had, Brandon Herrera, but don't worry, we still got lots more great show to go. In about 10 minutes, we've got Daniella Pentsak. She's a Turning Point USA field coordinator. She's going to talk to us.
Well, I was going to say, all of the gun guys that are watching right now, you will want to stick around for Daniella.
I think so, yeah. We'll just leave it unsaid, but implied what we're talking about here. I think you are going to want to see Daniella Pentsak join us here in about 10 minutes. She's going to talk to us about a Christian charity that lost their banking status. And like I said, what they do to Alex Jones and to Kanye West, they will eventually do to all of us. And it has already begun. We're going to talk to her about that in about 8 or 9 minutes. But first of all, since you're here and we have such a huge audience right now, just do us a favor, click that like button, help us to get out on the algorithm, and subscribe to the channel that you're watching us on right now. Like and sub. It's totally free, and it helps us to spread the message of liberty, which is what we're all about. Camellia Peterson and I, we are freedom-loving libertarian Republicans, and we love to make new friends. So since you're here and you're new, most of you, join us, the Cantina crew, every Monday through Friday. The Wake Up America show streams live from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time. So this is our regular time. We probably picked up some new people from the debate last night, but our regular Wake Up America show is a great way to start your day. And we get ourselves juiced, if you're wondering, by all those bags of coffee you see sitting around us right now. Yeah, this delicious coffee. And a lot of people get it's hard to get somebody off of their brand because everybody's got a brand. But like this, for me, when I was looking at getting into the coffee business, got me off of my regular brand, because I'm a coffee snob. I know you are too, Camellia, but It's damn good, isn't it?
It is very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have liked, well, I've only had 2 so far. I've had the Jeffersonian Java, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
And then this new one that you're testing out is really good.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll wait to see what that one is going to be.
Yes. Jeffersonian Java and Franklin's Electric Elixir have been my favorites so far. You can get one at a bag at ap4libertyshop.com. Stop spending money on woke corporations that hate you. If you're buying coffee from Starbucks, you're paying for abortions. If you're buying coffee from Black Rifle Coffee Company, you're supporting a company that threw Kyle Rittenhouse under the bus and thinks that you're racists. And I have the receipts to prove it. Why not support a company that supports your values? So, when you're buying a bag of coffee from us, not only are you getting, not only are you helping to spread the message of freedom, but you're also getting a delicious premium coffee. And don't forget too, when you see the prices on the website, that shipping is included. And if you buy more than one bag, there's the bundles page over at AP for Liberty Shop. If you buy more than one bag, then you get a discount, and it adds up the more bags you buy. So definitely check out the bundles page if you're interested in trying them all. Trying them all, it's a great gift. It's starting to get cool here at some point soon, but for the love of God, it's hot.
Terrible. We can just make it through this week.
I know.
We'll live.
Yeah. Apparently, Steffi said that like next week so far that the forecast is still in like the hundreds and stuff.
It's going to be better.
No, it's not looking good for us right now. But go ahead and stock up. Get yourself somebody who loves freedom, Washington's Revolutionary Roast, Franklin's Electric Elixir, Jeffersonian Java, Betsy's Liberty Lullaby for those who like the decaf, and Adam's Patriotic Perk. There's something for everybody who's a coffee lover in your family.
You can make cold brew. Like Quest Fanning makes cold brew at home. So I was going to say, I'm a tightwad.
Yeah.
I don't like to spend a lot of money, and I love a good deal. But there are things that I choose to spend more on for a lot of reasons, either because sometimes, quality is more important. And coffee is definitely one of those things.
No, you're right.
Me. And sometimes I do it because I want to support somebody. Like I get raw milk delivered to my house every week, and I pay out the wazoo for it, although it's probably better than a lot of places. But that is something that's like a little thing, but that's something I'm willing to pay more for because there's a reason behind why I would do that. And same with the coffee.
Because you like poison milk.
Freedom.
Sure. You're free to drink it, but not for me. All of my coffee beans are not poison, so you can enjoy them very much.
But they're totally worth splurging on.
For sure. And here's the thing. So if you're a premium coffee drinker already, you're probably spending more than what ours costs because a lot of them don't factor in the shipping. So when you actually factor in shipping, most of like the major premium coffee companies actually charge more than us. So what you see on the price at ap4libertyshop.com is what you get in the price. So
and if you're a Folgers drinker, order a bag and we'll convert you because you need an intervention if you're drinking Folgers.
We can't compete with Folgers if you're a Folgers drinker, but if you are a premium coffee drinker, try our Founding Flavors coffee. All right, we've got to run. We've got Daniella Pentsak coming up. I think you guys are going to be really excited to see her. You don't want to miss it. Stick around. We'll be right back with more on the Wake Up America Show, wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Behaviors, and at BlackRock we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the 4 olds: old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah, who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being.
If you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Well, things haven't been so sweet for Ben & Jerry's after the company posted an anti-American tweet, a few of them, on the 4th of July. The ice cream makers declared the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land.
Well, someone should tell Target that because they're now selling swimsuits with tuckums in the women's section of the store. And they even have a line just for kids.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to Ben & Jerry's and ask them how they can live with themselves as they operate a multi-billion-dollar company on stolen land while declaring other people give up their so-called stolen land.
This is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie
that says whatever the hell that means. We have glad you came out, and I'm so happy that you're queer. In the kids section. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but pride and toddler don't belong in the same sentence.
Good news! Starbucks will offer its workers reimbursement of travel expenses related to accessing abortion and gender-affirming procedures.
Kyle Rittenhouse was seen wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company shirt, and they wanted to distance themselves from that individual. Key employees at the company also were donating to Democrats. Hafer doubled down on throwing many in his base under the bus, describing them as racist and a repugnant group of people.
Good morning, Rise in Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. We're glad to have you here. Make sure you click like and subscribe to the channel that you're watching us on so you can help us to fight back against big tech censorship and against the mainstream media's lies and deceits. You only get freedom, love, liberty, and the truth, as well as justice and, well, the American way. We're glad to have our friend Camellia Peterson who's joining us in studio right now. Let's give it up for CJ. Yo.
Good morning, everyone.
Nice to see you. Nice to see all of you. Huge audience.
I know.
Biggest audience ever right now. And I know why they're here. It's because of our next guest who's joining us right now. They want to hear Daniella Pentsak's take from Turning Point USA. And she's joining us live right now from the West Coast, bright and early. Hello, Daniella.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Doing good, Daniella. We're really super excited to get your take on the debate because you kind of shocked me. You shivered my timbers when you said that you thought that there was a bit of an underdog that came from behind on the debate stage last night. Daniella, give us your take on who do you think did well in the GOP debate?
Well, first of all, I think it's obvious who the main winner was. Vivek he's sharp, he's witty, he obviously dominated the stage. Obviously, like, he thrives on that environment, I feel like, on the stage. But what I said earlier, I didn't say, now to be clear, I didn't say that Chris Christie was an underdog. I don't think he's successful, but I do think he is an unsung hero because I think he took I think he was there to take and absorb a lot of the heat from Vivek, where that could have been placed towards people like Ron DeSantis. And I think people, especially Ron DeSantis, should be very thankful that Chris Christie was on there to take most of the heat, because if he wasn't, I think Vivek would just be all over the place, targeting him and others on stage last night. So at any rate, if there's any nice thing you can say about Chris Christie, is that he was there to take some of that heat over there.
Your response, Camellia.
Like, I'm still thinking about if there's anything nice you can say. Chris Christie. I mean, to be fair, he's a pretty big target. So
yeah, exactly. It's pretty hard to miss him.
All right. No, we're already getting off to a great start here. We appreciate that. Yeah, Vivek Ramaswamy, he's sharp. A lot of people say he's a stalking horse for DeSantis, but I was kind of surprised at how weak DeSantis's performance was. What about you, Daniella?
I honestly don't think he was that weak. He actually performed better than what I expected. Yeah, he's not like the most charismatic political candidate on the stage, you could say, but I mean, at the same time, I still think for the most part, he gave pretty sharp answers. Could he performed better? Probably, but from what I've heard, I was actually pretty satisfied.
Okay, there you go. One of our commenters says about Chris Christie, his body, his choice.
It's true.
Yes, right. As opposed to the left, that's like, my body, my choice, your wallet. Thanks so much for tuning into the Wake Up America show. Click like and subscribe to the channel. We're glad to have the biggest audience we've had ever happening right now. 152 people watching us between YouTube and Rumble. Hell yes. We hope you'll come back and join us again.
To be fair, the left's take on it is not only my body, my choice, it's also my body, my choice, and your choice too, darn it.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with all the COVID restrictions that are coming back right now, just in time for the election. Yeah, Daniella, it's been interesting to see how people have started to mask up. I mean, I guess just in time for the election, eh?
Yeah, obviously this is strategic timing. I don't think it's good now. I'm hoping this won't happen. Obviously, it won't be full blown, but I really don't think it's going to be fully blown like mask up because Biden's still in office. I think if the Democrats go ahead and go like full mask up, a lot of people are going to be discomforted by that, and that might dissuade them from voting him back in. At least I hope that's the case. At the same time, you can't give Democrats too much credit. They're not the smartest of people. So
This is why we like Daniella on the show. This is Daniella Pentsak. She's a field coordinator for Turning Point USA. She joins us every Thursday on the show at 8 a.m. Central Time. It's her regular slot. Camellia Peterson also is a regular guest on the show, and she's here every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 a.m. Central Time. So basically, Thursday starting at 8 o'clock, it's the Smoking Hot Libertarian Ladies Show. So
Also known as Thirsty Thursdays.
Hold on, where's my there you go. Hit that one. I'm glad Danielle couldn't hear that one. All right. If you're just tuning into the show, though, make sure you click like and subscribe to the channel. We definitely want to have you come back. It would be such a tragedy to have such a big audience today and then have you guys miss out on tomorrow, Friday, because that's Family Friday when my smoking hot redheaded libertarian wife, Stephanie P. for Liberty, joins us in studio every Friday, and we have a great show as well. I do have to say very quickly, Joe Spinella, thank you for the super chat. He said, last night reminded me how boring, scripted, and unrelatable the GOP is, like it's 07, 08, and 12. Well, what about Ron Paul? Nikki Haley is female George W. Bush. Yes, very good.
Yeah.
Christie says he could be Biden when he couldn't beat Weight Watchers. Hey, and DeSantis was a robot. Oh my God. How dare you? How dare you? Yes, no, probably very true, Joe. We appreciate that very much. All right. Well, Daniella, you brought a story to my attention yesterday that you were keen to discuss. And I've always said this, that what they will do, what the establishment will do to Kanye West and what they will do to Alex Jones, they will do to all of us eventually. And this is already starting to happen. What's this story about a Christian charity that you wanted to share?
yeah, so this conservative Christian charity, which by the way is dedicated to feeding starving Africans, a pretty good cause, has been targeted by Bank of America and has been formally debanked. So they can't access their account. They can't have an account with the bank. And the reasons given were a bit unclear. Bank of America did send this charity, which by the way is called Indigenous Advanced Ministries, or IAM. They sent them 2 letters saying, for one, this charity is not the business type that Bank of America wants to work with. And then the second letter said that they have a high risk profile, which I believe means like they are at a high risk of like money laundering, I think is what it means. But at any rate, it was pretty unclear about what Bank of America meant by that. So the charity petitioned for further explanation, and Bank of America just hasn't gotten back to them and kind of like left them in the dark about their account and the reason for why it was basically taken away from them. And so the charity owner or the founder believes actually that it's likely because, and he's concerned that it's because they are, like I mentioned previously, conservative Christian. They're fairly vocal about some of their ideological stances. Like, for instance, they're very much pro-choice. They're anti-gay marriage.
Pro-life.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Pro-life. It's early in the morning. Thank you for correcting me.
Yes.
They're pro-life and anti-gay marriage, anti-LGBT. So obviously like pretty conservative stances. But that's not the focus of their charity. The focus is, helping Ugandans eat and survive. So and Bank of America cut them off just cold turkey like that. And so without explanation, obviously this is a major problem. We have seen it happen before to high profile officials like Nigel Farage, like you mentioned, Kanye West, Alex Jones, Laura Loomer. And, regardless of what you think about those people and their stances and their ideological views, it goes without saying that they deserve to have access to their finances and to be able to utilize a bank like that.
Yeah, I completely agree. What do you think, Camellia?
Well, and I think that that's the issue we were talking about with the government is so intertwined with banking that it really, regardless of freedom of association and whatever, there should be some very clear guidelines. They should be able to give very clear reasons for doing that to someone, not just, vague, because we don't agree or don't
Yeah, I
like or
mean,
think you're a
you know,
risk.
obviously, I want to end the Federal Reserve. I want to see the corporatocracy of this country brought down, and I'd love to see free markets and banks, just like we have in tomatoes and things like that. I'm sure tomatoes are regulated as well, but we don't live in that world right now. And so since the banking cartels are highly socialized in this country, nobody should be losing access to their money in this country. That should not be a thing that happens in the United States. If you're interested in learning more about free market monetary theory, for those of you who are on the big brain side of things, definitely check out Friedrich Hayek's writings on a free market in money. He wrote a lot about baskets of currencies. And take a look and study in the late 1800s in the United States, what they call the robber barons age. Some of us call the Gilded Age, in which the United States, not only did we have a gold-backed currency, but we also had competition in money. And there was also the Scottish free banking era as well that you can read up more online, which I'm a high proponent of. If we were to end the Fed, how would we essentially decentralize the monetary unit? Because if anything, right now, the central banks are looking at consolidating more with the CBDCs, right? The central bank digital currencies. So it's definitely something that we have to look towards and fight back. And so where does this stand right now, Daniela? I mean, have they been debanked? Has there been any popular resistance against something like this?
Yes, people, well, this isn't like a truly high profile story yet. I think it's going to blow up soon here, much more than it is now. But people have been campaigning for transparency about why these banks cut people off. I think ever since Nigel Farage was cut off from the bank, when he was, there was like a 40-page dossier that explained that, well, that one was clear, but the bank just outright said and that they did not align with his ideological views, and that is why they cut him off when he was the leader of UKIP. And I think when that occurred, that basically showed what is really happening, and why banks go ahead with these decisions and debank people, because that was a transparent view. But I think because that got so much of an uproar when it did happen, I think moving forward, more banks are going to be less transparent, not as open about what's going on. And I think we're going to see a lot of pushback, especially because this has been happening more and more frequently, at least with high profile figures. But now they're targeting, I mean, truth be told, not the most known charities and charity owners and
Right.
all that. And next thing, what's going to happen is it going to be just normal everyday people like you and me and the people
Yeah.
watching this show. So
Yeah.
The scary part, right?
Yeah, because I think they probably realized that they screwed up by going after the big guys right away, because they are going to be able to marshal resources, the Alex Joneses, the Kanye Wests, and others, right? They're going to be able to marshal resources to fight back. Whereas if they were to go after the little guys like us, people watching the stream, you and me, and stuff like that, then we're not going to have the same resources to be able to fight back against Bank of America and these Christian charities, for example.
What's the advantage for them to do that? You know what I'm saying?
It's part of all that ESG shit, right? It's the environmental, social, and governance stuff. It's like BlackRock. It's a lot of top-down stuff that's happening right now because this Christian charity, obviously, they're pro-life and they're going to be against gay marriage. So for them, like, this is an ideological push from the top down, right? This is, this is very much like the elite, the leftist elite in the country who control many of these major corporations, social media institutions, and now the banks, telling them you're going to force people to change. I mean, this is wokeism. This is weaponized wokeism is what it is.
Right. I guess, that's really hard to wrap my mind around because I just don't, my mind doesn't operate that way. But because I always want to think that, there's, it's capitalism, there's got to be some incentive, for them to behave in that way. They've got to be getting some kind of reward out of that.
For sure. If you're just tuning in to the Wake Up America show, good morning. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. We're glad to have you here. It's been our biggest, most successful show yet, and we're grateful for you for helping to make that happen. I'm joined in studio by the lovely Camellia Peterson, who's here with us right now. CJ is what I call her sometimes. Camellia, you're breaking my heart. And of course, joining us live from the West Coast, which means it's 2 hours earlier. We ought to give her a big round of applause, too, for getting her butt up so early and reporting so well. She is Daniella Pentsak, a field coordinator at Turning Point USA, and she is joining us live right now talking about the biggest news of the day. She's got another story for us, though, that caught my eye. Georgia's school district is banning books, says the AP, citing sexual content after firing a teacher. This one sounds juicy, Daniela. What's the news?
Yeah, this one is another major white pill. I remember when I talked about Target last week taking out their LGBT products from their shelves. That was a major white pill and a big W for conservatives. Here's another one. In Cobb County in Georgia, school district has officially decided to formally remove 2 books from their over 20 libraries in the district. These books, one of them promoted, it's basically gay propaganda. It was about a gay boy. The other one had a lot of explicit sexual imagery and foul language in that book. And so at any rate, the school board decided to remove these 2 books. And I think that's a major win. That decision followed a little while after they officially fired a teacher in an elementary classroom who discussed gender identity and read books about gender identity to her students. Again, elementary age, just for people watching at home to really get the idea here and what's going on. And, you know, some people are coming out saying that this is far too harsh. I believe the coordinator for the Georgia Library Association says that, you know, we need books that represent kids, especially if they're LGBTQ. And the decision to remove at least one of the books was way too harsh. But this school district has very firm policies about what it thinks is appropriate, and it says that any type of media or lesson that is sexually explicit, which both of these books were, is on the grounds for their action, and to basically fire anyone or at least heavily question them if they are promoting these materials.
Just tuning in to the Wake Up America show. Good morning. I'm Austin. You may have seen me gesturing to Camellia to scooch over a little bit so I can get her in her camera. Right in the center there. I'm speaking to Daniella Pentsak as well. That does sound like a major white pill, which, Daniella, a lot of people don't know what that is. I was talking to some like person the other day and I said red pill or black pill. They had no clue what it is. What do you mean when you say take the white pill? Are you talking about doing drugs?
Not quite. Yeah, sorry for the meme language here for those
No,
that
it's
don't
all good.
understand.
We speak meme here on the show, but we just want to make sure our audience is clued in.
Well, I'm chronically online, so I can't help it. But it just means like a new dose of optimism in the current situation, because a lot of people see there's 2 types. There is a black pill, which are very pessimistic about the future in the state of the world, and then one's a white pill, so it's the opposite. It's being optimistic. For those of you that don't know.
Mm-hmm. For sure, for sure. We appreciate that explanation, Daniella. Daniella, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our audience? Camellia, do you have any questions? Anything that you want to ask her before we let her go? Or
I think she clarified. I was thinking when you were talking about, you know, when you talk about book banning and removing books from the library, and you did make the distinction that this is a school library for starters, which is different because, you know, people's like, oh, you're banning books from the library. Well, there is a difference between the public library and a school library and what kids have free access to. And I think that is something that gets lost, and we have to constantly make that distinction because, you know, we are constantly getting accused of just book banning.
Yeah.
We're not just book banning.
Yeah, no, you don't put a copy of Penthouse on the shelves
Right.
of they wouldn't do that. Why are they putting gay sex in books for kids
Right, and
in
it doesn't even
schools?
matter if it's like gay or straight. Like
Yeah.
there's appropriate content
Yeah, I
either
don't
way.
care. Yeah, it's just
Right.
yeah. No, I completely get it. No, Danielle, we're glad that you're on top of stories like these.
Yeah.
You're on the show every week, once a week at 8 a.m. Central, 8:30 a.m. Central Time, which is 2 hours earlier for you out there on the West Coast. You're doing a great job at Turning Point USA as well. It's been great to see your travels. And so Camellia and I were just talking a little bit earlier about how much you've really developed as a reporter here on the show. So we definitely want to give you kudos, and I think the audience would as well by clicking like. So thanks for all your great work, Daniella. You're definitely out there fighting for the cause of freedom, and you're one of us, and we appreciate you.
Well, thank you for having me, guys, and it's good to see how much the show's grown as well since I started.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if any of you on that's watching right now wants to follow me on social media, it's just Pentsak Daniella on Twitter, and then official Daniella Pentsak on Instagram.
There you go. And you can see how her name is spelled right there underneath her lovely visage. And she's joining us live right there. Daniella, thanks very much. We'll see you online, chronically online. Thanks for the white pill.
See you there.
We appreciate it very much. All right.
Thank
That
you.
is Daniella Pentsak. What do you think of Daniella? Send us a text at 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586. Isn't she great?
She is.
Yeah, it's been a good show today. Our most successful show ever.
Awesome.
Yeah, let's go back and revisit some of the greatest hits of Vivek Ramaswamy last night. Some people were saying that, oh, you think Vivek dominated last night? They're saying this on Twitter. You think Vivek dominated? Hell yeah, I think he dominated. Let's take a look and a listen here at some domination.
The administration is now asking Congress for $24 billion more. Regardless of that, the specifics of that plan, is there anyone on stage who would not support the increase of more funding to Ukraine?
We would not support it. Europe needs to step up. I mean, I would have Europe step up and do their job.
All right, Mr. Ramaswamy, but you're saying you would not too, Governor DeSantis?
I will have Europe pull their weight. Right now, they're not doing that.
Would not support
and I think we need to do, and I think our support should be contingent on them doing it. And I would
Bad answer. But what? Look at this. Look at Ramaswamy. He's licking his finger. He's licking his finger. What is that? He's like, I'm about to take you to school, Governor.
Or maybe that's his indication that, like, maybe the governor's testing.
Oh, the governor's putting his finger to the wind. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, for sure. Here he goes. Here he goes, Ramaswamy. He's like, I'm going to step up here and show you what it is.
China,
yeah. That's exactly what he did. Hold on. Back it up. Watch this. He's testing the wind. Look.
Them doing it. And I would have support in China to be able to take China and do what we need to do with China.
That's hilarious.
Dude, Ramaswamy, man, he's killing it.
You would not support an increase of funding to Ukraine.
I would not. And I think that this is disastrous.
Thank you.
That we are protecting against an invasion
God
across somebody
Say what you mean in hard words.
We should use those same military resources
say what you mean to
prevent across the invasion of our own southern border here in the United States of America. We are driving Russia further into China's hands. The Russia-China alliance.
Some people say he's a little bit of a China hawk, though. A little bit of a China hawk. But that's okay. You know, like China screwed us over with COVID. I think it was, you know, it's legit.
Okay, so he did an interview with Barry Weiss, which I actually would recommend people listen to because it was very good. It's long, of course, but in there, and I don't want to try to describe his position on it, but he described himself as an owl. And so I don't know, given how he described his position on China, that he's as much of a hawk as it sounds here, which was really interesting to me because I do think there are sometimes I think that people kind of like the whole China thing's overblown.
I'm a bit of a China hawk, to be honest, but why?
I think that China, it's not that they're not a threat at all.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think that that's it. But I do think that our government and officials and our elected officials have used China as a boogeyman to motivate people. Because they need somebody to fight against. They need a threat.
I would highly recommend, if you haven't already, that you take a look at some of what China does to our infrastructure here in the United States. Because I think a lot of our libertarian friends have got their head in the sand a bit to what the real threat to China is the United States. It's not just what they did to us in COVID-19, which is obviously a massive problem, but also we've got this issue where China actually, they attack our infrastructure every single day, right? They cause traffic jams here in the United States because they actually screw with our traffic signals. Like if you've ever been in like sometimes like accidents happen, people actually die because China will hack into our red lights here and will cause accidents by screwing with our infrastructure here. So they're actually killing people here in the United States doing stuff like that.
Well, and I think that is something that, so when politicians talk about China, they're not talking about stuff like that.
Right.
They're talking about trade wars. They're talking about tariffs, and all of that kind of stuff is not going to do squat.
Exactly. And here's the thing. I think the reason they don't talk about that is because the reality is that many of our professional politicians aren't entirely incompetent, and they probably realize that these are actual national security threats that they have to be very careful about how they address, right? Because in order to conduct diplomacy, you've got to, some things you can't just talk about in a debate or in mainstream media because you've got to be careful and not show your hand. That's why you've got to read that book I gave you, Camellia, War.
I'm working
33 Strategies of War. You've got to read it. And one of the people I think in that book, that it's not just like the awesome Japanese samurai that it mentions, but Lyndon Johnson is one of the people that I think more libertarians really need to study, not because of his policies, but because of how he won his elections and how he managed to get people on his side. I've got a book by about him too called Master of the Senate, and it wasn't just his tactics of like he would do things like leaning over people and stuff in order to establish dominance, which
That's somebody who does that.
yeah, it works. It works. It honestly works. But little things like that, we really need to start learning from people who are successful in politics.
Do
Okay.
you remember who the author of 33 Strategies is? It
Robert Greene.
Okay, same as 48 Laws of Power.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And Laws of Seduction or Attraction as
Right,
well. So
right.
if I highly, that's a book recommendation from AP free one. Check that one out. 33 Strategies of War. And my favorite stuff is like the samurai stuff, obviously, because I like the martial arts. But like there are so many rules of war that like just like Sun Tzu's The Art of War, where you can apply them in business, in politics, in just gamesmanship and game theory and things like that. It's like, don't attack your enemy where they're strong, attack your enemy where they're weak. If you have a smaller force, right, and this happens frequently with us in politics, how do you have to make them divide their forces, right, and things like that. So we got to get smart and start to learn the art of war. I think most libertarians, one of the biggest problems, and that's a problem that's endemic to most people in the United States, is most of us haven't been punched in the face early and often is probably a good enough thing. There's nothing like a lesson. Did you ever, when you were doing karate, did you ever get punched?
Yes.
You did. You got bruised. You got bruised. Let me ask you something. Were those some of the? What did you learn from it? From getting your ass kicked?
I mean, it made me adjust my technique for one thing.
You started moving your ass around a little faster, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, because people don't realize everybody thinks they can fight.
Yeah.
Until they get into a fight, right? And the more I've learned how to fight, the better a martial artist I've become over the years, the more frightened I become of fighting, because I realize how dangerous it is and how like little about it. Like it is chaos, it is the whirlwind, and politics ain't checkers.
Right. It looks easy, but it's not.
It is not.
It's because the people do the hard work to make it look easy.
Yeah,
it's exactly. Like dancing, the same way.
Exactly. We've got only about a couple minutes left to go on the show. Camellia, before we run, I mean, anything you want to share with us before? It's been the biggest show we've ever done.
No, I just appreciate you guys. Thank you for all coming on board and watching today. Stick around, keep coming back every day, and pay attention and do more than just talk online, and go find something to do to make a difference. Don't just be keyboard warriors.
Yeah, Stephanie is over on the live stream saying, I hate Kumite.
And if you need something to do or you're not sure about what you can do, message me. I will give you things to do.
@RareCamellia on Twitter is where you can find her. She is a very rare Camellia. We're glad to have all of our friends and listeners. 93 people watching us over on Rumble. Give yourselves a pat on the back. I hope that I see, at least half as many of you here tomorrow on the Wake Up America show. It's Family Friday. Listen, the Wake Up America show is not just one day we do a debate reaction. It's 5 days a week, especially with primary season coming up. Where are you going to get your news? From the mainstream media? No, you're going to let George Soros tell you what to think? You're going to be reading MSNBC or MSDNC, as Donald Trump called it? I don't think so. You ought to tune in to the Wake Up America show, where you'll get the greatest news and breakdowns, liberty talk, gossip, economic freedom, personal liberty. That's what we're all about here. So before you leave today, because I know what'll happen is that you'll be like, this is the first time I've ever watched the show. And then tomorrow you'll be like, oh, where's that Austin Peterson guy? How do I find him? All this stuff. Click subscribe before we go, right? Hit that subscribe button and check out, before you leave, apforlibertyshop.com, where you can get our delicious Founding Flavors coffee. It's delicious. My favorite. Franklin's Electric Elixir. Get yourself a bag, and we'll see you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time, the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. It's been a great show. We appreciate you all very much. Like and subscribe, GD it. Like and subscribe.
Have a great day, everyone.
Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow.
Trump and I approve this message. Believe me, Austin Peterson is the best. He's got the greatest Wake Up America show I've ever seen. Whenever I tune in the mornings and watch the live stream, let me tell you, he has got the absolute best content. I love his guests. It's just a total blast to watch, and I highly endorse and recommend the Wake Up America show. It's terrific, believe me.
Hello, my name is Kelvin. Welcome to Frenchy Bush. This is my Didi's website. Now I've decided to speak to you with my real voice for the first time ever to tell you about how cool Frenchy Bush is. But I've decided that this is the perfect opportunity to share with you. Frenchy Bush is a good website. You should follow us on socials. If you like Frenchies or any kind of bulldogs, me and my new brother George are going to try to make your life more fun.
Hello, I'm George. My neck isn't really thick yet, but it will be. We are so glad you're here. Please ignore my floating eyeball. It helps me spot predators who might be approaching from the sides.
Didi made Frenchy bullshit to review things that he uses on me and my brother to tell you if it's good or bullshit. Take this collar, for example. Didi really likes it. Didi said it's really handy because us Frenchies got thick necks. Need something really tough. People think Frenchies are little, but if you look at us from below, you can see we are really pretty buff. Beefcake, yes. Look at my creamy thighs and chest. Yes, you like that?
Big brother, please focus.
Frenchy Bush. Please follow us for more great content and read the Frenchy Bush blog for more fun and cool stuff.
I'm a public defender.
I am a public defender.
I'm proud to be a public defender.
80% of Americans accused of a crime will get appointed a public defender.
Everybody from a speeding ticket to capital murder.
For every dollar we spend on public defenders, we spend $3 on prosecutors.
Public defenders have to do pretty much everything on their own.
Social workers, counselors.
Investigating is another piece of it.
The average public defender holds 300 cases annually.
You never feel like there's enough time.
Public defenders have health issues all the time.
A lot of people give up and say, I can't do this work anymore.
Gideon's Promise trains, mentors, and supports public defenders.
There are a lot of people who say that they would not still be public defenders, but for Gideon's Promise.
It's fueled me to continue on in this fight.
Gideon's Promise has changed the face of public defense.
People see us as troublemakers.
Good trouble only.
We don't make it easy. It should not be easy to take away someone's liberty.
Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your pro-freedom values? Fed up with sipping liberal lattes and progressive cappuccinos? Introducing Founding Flavors from AP for Liberty Shop. Get your day started with Washington's Revolutionary Roast. As robust and principled as the man himself, this blend is the shot of energy heard round the world. Or maybe you want to taste the fervor of freedom with Adams's Patriotic Perk. It's as dynamic and balanced as the U.S. Constitution, sure to awaken your spirit of liberty. For the aficionados, we've got the Jeffersonian Java, a complex mix of flavors that speaks volumes about your refined tastes. And don't forget Betsy's Liberty Lullaby, our decaf option, crafted with the same care and dedication Betsy Ross put into our Star-Spangled Banner. This blend lets you enjoy the taste of freedom anytime without losing sleep. No woke beans here, folks. Just pure, patriotic, pro-freedom flavors brewed with love for liberty. So why compromise your principles for a cup of coffee? Stand up for your values, perk up your patriotism, and start your day the American way. Get your founding flavors at apforlibertyshop.com.